Hello, and welcome to another episode of Finding Mr. Hyde, the podcast. I am your host, Allie Jackson, and I am bringing you my positive and practical approach to dating, relationships, and a whole lot else about life, brought to you by my lived experience, stuff I've been through, stuff I'm still going through, things I'm still working through, and things I've worked through in the past. We're here to talk about it all. Various topics, various guests, my own reflections. Our guest today, oh my God, I'm obsessed with her. Her name is Anna Lecat. It's a French last name, so I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it in English. She is incredible. She's a badass. She focuses on the topic of conflict. And we're talking all about conflict today. And that is not normally a topic that I would be so excited to talk about, right? Like, who wants to talk about conflict? Anna does. And I get why after talking to her. We get really into the nitty gritty of why conflict isn't a bad thing and what healthy conflict looks like and how you can have that in your relationships in a way that feels connective and generative and trust building and not scary, or at least as little fear as possible wrapped up in it, because I think there's always going to be potentially some fear regarding hard conversations. She gives really practical tips, exact language you can use, examples from her own life and the lives and experiences of people that she's worked with. It's just an incredible conversation. I came out of that interview just feeling like, wow, wow, that was cool. And I love so many of the guests that we have on the show, but that was a really unique experience. And I'm just super excited for you all to hear our interview. And she's got a book coming out at the end of March called Loving Conflict, appropriately. It's not available for pre-order yet, but I will post when it is available to order. I'm excited to read it myself. So I think you're going to love Anna. I'm super excited. Before that, some updates on my end. This week was a major snowstorm in New York City, and that apparently is happening again this upcoming week. We haven't had a snowstorm like this in a minute. I actually saw something on social media about how there's something about like major snowstorms every 10 years, in years that end in a 6. I think specifically in New York City. The last one I remember here was 2016. Obviously it snowed since then, but like the most intense. We got over a foot of snow in my area of Brooklyn, and it was intense. It was really intense. The snow is still there. It's still freezing. It feels like 10 degrees outside right now. We're supposed to get even more snow this weekend. And Skyline and I are going out of town. We're going to Mexico City for a little long weekend trip. So we've got neighbors coming. They're checking on the cats multiple times a day, and making sure everything is up and running in our apartment and things like that. And we have friends in the neighborhood, worst case scenario. But it's just been a little bit crazy. Winter is always a slog. Like, winter is annoying with coats and scarves and gloves, and lost one of my gloves the other day on the subway. It's just like there's a lot. I'm not a big fan. I love New York City so much. It's magical to me. It is home to me. I have no intention of leaving anytime soon, but winter fucking sucks. I do not like it. So I mentioned before that I was going to an EDM concert with Skyline and a few of my friends over the weekend. Did that, and I had a good time. I'm saying that with a surprised voice because I am a little bit surprised. I agreed to go because my friends and Skyline were really, really excited. And they said, they're like, we think you will have a good time at this. The environment's going to be really great. It's in Brooklyn. It's very low stakes. And they played me some of her music. We went to Rez, who's a DJ, and like the lighting is really cool. The production value is really cool. Like, we think you're going to like it, but worst case scenario, you're not very far away from home. My friends for years have been wanting me to go to EDM stuff, and I'm just like, guys, this felt like a good entryway into it. So we went, and I had a really good time. I'm not going to be going to EDM shows every weekend by any means, but I'm very glad that I went. And, I want to continue to do stuff that I can connect with Skyline on, things that he really loves. And I really appreciate that about him, that he wants to connect with me on things that I really love. Like, he came away with me for one of my volleyball tournaments last summer, and that's not something that he would normally do. And he doesn't play volleyball, so he's just watching, but he had a great time. And I'm really glad that he did that and that he tried something that was my thing. And I want to do that for him too. Obviously, Bonnaroo was supposed to be that, and it kind of went a little sideways. But this was really fun. And so I definitely want to prioritize more, not a lot, but more stuff like that, concerts that he's into. Speaking of concerts, another major update. I'm being facetious, I'm exaggerating, but an update on my end is that I'm going to Harry Styles in the fall. I'm so pumped. I haven't been to a major, like, big show in a long time, and I've never done a ticket presale before. It's stressful. My God. Like, I was so one of my friends texted a group of us girlfriends, and she was like, "I wanna come to town for Harry Styles' Madison Square Garden residency. He's gonna be here for, like, several months." So many shows. She's like, "I wanna come to town. When are you guys free?" So we have a group of 4 of us that are gonna go and make a little girls' night out of it, kinda girls' trip because she's coming and gonna stay with me. So I'm like, "Amazing. I'm excited. I love his music. I've heard he puts on an amazing show." And I have an Amex card, so I was, like, in charge of presale, and so it was very, very stressful. It was like you sign up for a certain date, you're like, "Okay, I'm interested in the date that I'm interested in," and then you have a particular day and time that you are assigned for that not you're assigned, that is the presale for that particular date. And then on that day, 30 minutes prior, I'm preaching to the choir probably of people who've done this before, but this was my first time. On that day, 30 minutes prior to the time the presale opens, you can get in the queue. So I'd read all over that you should like be waiting in that website before that time. So I was in there like 45 minutes early, not 30 minutes early. And when it started to get close to the time, I'm refreshing to try to like get in the queue. That happened. I joined the wait list. And then for 30 minutes, you just stare at the screen and wait for it to refresh, and then you're actually in the queue. So you're on the website, and then you're in the waiting room, and then you're in the queue, and then you're buying tickets. It's a multi-step process. I had no idea. I did not know it was going to be this intense. And I'm like stressing. Palms are sweating, adrenaline is going. Like this girl's trip depends on my ability to get these tickets. And we talked in advance. I knew I wasn't going to have much time once I got in there. So we talked in advance about price we were comfortable with. We already knew the date we wanted. Here's our max price. So like try to get the best ticket available for that price. However, you got to be fucking fast because if you spend too long clicking around and looking at different prices, from what I read, you're not going to get a ticket. So I did a lot of research earlier in the week about the different, like the setup of MSG, what it's going to look like, where his stage is going to be. And then I was looking up views from different sections, assuming that we probably weren't going to get lower bowl because they were going to be very expensive. And when I got in there, they were $1,000 each. No, thank you. So I was looking up views from different like upper sections. The 200s was my goal of MSG and like what the view looks like and where his stage is going to be circular. So it's easier than some other concerts. But there's a website called View from My Seat that you can look and people will post pictures of the actual view from actual seats in various stadiums and venues. So I was looking at that. I had some sections I was targeting, but no idea if I'm going to get in there and they're going to be available or at the price that I want, all this stuff. And I've just heard that it all goes so quickly. So you're sitting there and you see your number in the queue and it tells you how many people are ahead of you, right? And it's getting lower and lower and lower as people are buying tickets and getting out of the queue. And I'm like, oh, I got 400, or I got 450, or I got 300, like all the way down. And then it was sitting at 33 for a while. And then all of a sudden it makes this loud, like bell noise. Logan freaked out, jumped out of my lap. My computer clattered, or I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. I was hoping it wasn't like please don't refresh. It was fine. And I was able to find us 4 tickets within our price range in a 200 section that I liked for the date that we wanted. So I'm thrilled. It's going to be such a fun trip. We don't get to see our friend very often. She has 3 little kids. She lives outside of Chicago. So for her to like get away for a girls' weekend is super fun too. I think I might kick Skyline out and have him stay with a friend for the weekend and have all the girls over, even the ones who live here. I just think it's going to be so much fun. I'm pumped. I'm so pumped. It's not until the fall. So I have a long time to look forward to this. So I'm very excited. And this upcoming weekend, tomorrow, actually, by the time you're hearing this, we will, if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, we will be in Mexico City. Skyline and I are headed to Mexico City for a little long weekend getaway. We've been planning it since a little later last year. We wanted something to look forward to when it was absolutely freezing in New York. And we purposefully timed it so that he would be enough post-surgery that he didn't have to be in his immobilizing sling anymore. Big news. He doesn't have to be in his immobilizing sling anymore. Very exciting. He has like a softer one that he's probably going to still wear around just pretty much to not remind, but like show other people that he has an injury and like remind himself not to do too much with his arm. But we're very excited. I'm pumped about all the things that we're doing. Thank you to everybody who sent in recommendations. I will definitely post about the places that we go and, what we think of them. I'm positive we're going to like every single one. Some things that I've done already that I wanted to him to see and or experience, and a lot of things that I didn't get to do when I was there last on my girls trip. I'm just very excited. And it's a really good mix too, what we've decided to do of things that we reserved in advance, like a really nice restaurant that we want to go to, a show that we want to go to, and then also just wandering around. Like we have one day we're there where we have nothing actually planned, some ideas of things we want to do, a market we want to check out, a restaurant that doesn't take reservations that we thought we'd try to walk into, put our name in, whatever, and just a wander day. So I'm very excited about that wander day. I think that's going to be super, super fun. And it's going to be warmer there, which is going to be huge. That's part of the reason we're going. And it was also such a cheap trip. Like we're going to eat and drink at some very good places when we're there. So it probably won't be as cheap once we're there. That being said, food in Mexico City is nowhere near the cost of in New York. But the trip itself, we booked the flights on points and then we got a reimbursement for the hotel through one of my credit cards. So we are sitting pretty with our budget going into this trip, which I'm super pumped about. It's going to be really fun. So we're spending 4 nights there and we're staying in Condesa, which is what my favorite neighborhood that I experienced when I was in Mexico City. Obviously, I've only been there once. I'm not an expert, but I really loved Condesa. Last time I stayed in Roma Norte, and that was really cool too, but walking into Condesa was one of my favorite things to do. So we're staying there right near this like really, really beautiful park that is going to be part of our wander day probably. And I'm excited. Skyline's never been to Mexico City, and it's just going to be really fun. One thing that I'm committed to starting right now is to do media mention every week. I know I kind of started that segment and I wasn't sure how it was landing, but I have heard that people really liked it and I really like doing it. And so I'm committed to doing it every week and having a media mention every week. And this week, I want to talk about Amy Poehler's podcast. I know I've mentioned it before that Skyline and I listened to some episodes of it when we were driving to and from his parents for Thanksgiving, and it's fantastic. But I have now been listening every single week since then, and it is so, so good. She just won an award for it for Best Podcast. She won a Golden Globe for it. I love it every week, but I especially love her conversations with women. And I think podcasting is a space, especially popular podcasting, that has been historically really dominated by men. Of course, there are some very famous women-led podcasts as well, but they haven't, I think, gotten the recognition that a lot of male podcasts have gotten, and especially video podcasts. Men, generally speaking, analytics wise, men are known to watch podcasts more than women. But I know that Amy Poehler's has been getting a lot of video watches too, and like watching her interact with her guests is really fun. I listen to it on audio, but the videos are very great. Recent episode that I want to call out is one that she did with Jennifer Lawrence, and there's a very micro moment within this episode where Jennifer Lawrence is like, "Oh, my ear is itchy. Like, do you mind if I scratch my ear? Sorry, it's gross. Like, you can cut this out." And Amy Poehler goes, "Oh, we can cut it out, but like, just so you know, that's a symptom of perimenopause." And they didn't end up cutting it out, obviously, because I'm talking about it. I heard it. We heard it. But it was one of the moments, those types of moments that I really love about her podcast is just so real. And that is one of the things that I love most about her as an interviewer is that she is really warm is the way that I'll describe it. And it's like she's talking to a friend. Even like sometimes she is, right? Like a lot of her early episodes and a lot of the ones that Skyline and I listen to are with her former SNL castmates who are her friends. But then she's having conversations with people that she's met before, but aren't, good friends of hers. And yet still the conversation feels like two friends talking. It is casual and yet insightful. And the way that Amy asks, I say Amy like I know her, I think she's my friend. The way that she asks questions is so inspiring to me as somebody who interviews people as well. Obviously, not in any of not the same realm at all, but so inspiring to me. The way that she asks questions in a way that invites the person in. But going back to the thing about Jennifer Lawrence, so she mentions, that's a symptom of perimenopause, and then they kind of talk about that for a second. And that is an example to me of what I love so much about her podcast is that it's called Good Hang with Amy Poehler, by the way. That it is touching on topics sometimes accidentally that aren't talked about enough. Like, there's no way that was in the script, right? That's not in the outline of the episode. Jennifer Lawrence just happened to scratch her ear. Amy Poehler says that. Now they're talking about perimenopause. And Jennifer Lawrence and I are roughly in the same age around, right? I recently also found out that itchy ears are a symptom of perimenopause. And that is something that I have been dealing with for 2 or 3 years now and had no idea that that was a thing. And so, and I'm sure that there were so many people of perimenopausal age listening to that episode and hearing that and hearing a conversation about hormonal transitions in women's lives on this major platform, I think is pretty groundbreaking, especially because it is not in a clinical way. It's in a casual way. Like, you just overheard your two friends talking about their itchy ears, you know? And I just really love it. And I think it is such a good example of good interviewing and good people skills, frankly. And she's just cool. In one of her episodes, she was talking about the Enneagram, and she is an Enneagram 8, a challenger. And she said that. And I was like, yes, that is why I like you, Amy Poehler. I knew I liked you for a reason. So that is this week's media mention. And like I said, I am committed to being consistent about media mentions. That is something that I was about to say something that I am bad at, but I am working on having better language with myself. So something that I am working on is trying something and sticking with it for longer to really see if it is a thing that I want to be sticking with, if that makes sense. Like, I am very quick to be like, oh, this didn't work, or the fail fast mentality, I think, is a little pervasive sometimes in my mind. And I want to be somebody who really tries something and sees what happens. I'm doing that with YouTube right now, right? Like, the podcast is now on YouTube and I'm really excited about it. It is starting slow, obviously. I think my views are like under 100 per episode, which is microscopic compared to my audio listens. But, I'm starting. I'm starting it. I'm trying something new and seeing what happens. And similarly with YouTube content in general, I am currently, as we speak, editing the work from home pants try on video that I made. I made it for YouTube. It is long form. I filmed like an hour of content. A lot of that is me like taking on and putting on pants. So it's not all talking, but I'm editing that and it's taking a while. YouTube videos take a lot longer to edit than like Instagram and TikTok, shorts and stuff. And I'm learning. And I'm trying to be kinder to myself about that learning process and not immediately jump to, well, this was hard. This is taking too long. I shouldn't do this. Instead, recognize that the amount of time, so the whole thing's an hour, right? It took me exponentially longer to edit the first 5 or 10 minutes than it is now taking me to edit the rest. And I'm trying to remember that. I'm getting better at it. And I'm not going to know if I can be successful at doing something unless I try. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm learning as I go. Like, one thing I've learned is that I probably need to use some sort of little mic or like lav mic clipped on my shirt or something like that. Because I had to do a lot of post-production editing on the audio because it was very echoey. So I'm learning. I'm learning. One thing I'm also trying not to do, though, is spend money before I know if something is going to be right for me. Because that is something that I want to do, is to like throw money at a problem before I know if it's something that I really want to be doing and should commit investment to. Lav mics are not that expensive, so I'm not super worried about that. But in terms of other equipment for YouTube, let's say, or for podcasting, that kind of thing, like upgrading my microphones, I waited. Now I have, but I waited when I first started the podcast to, upgrade microphones and all of that stuff. I want to continue being good at that. All this to say, I'm sorry that I have not been consistent with media mention. Those of you who've reached out to me, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I need to launch something and stick with it until I decide actively to not. or to do it, in a certain cadence or whatever. So this is me committing to media mention because I really do like it and I know that it brings value. And so I'm going to do it. On that note, Katie, Tony, and I have been trying to find time that we all three of us are free to schedule their next dating diary segment, which will be their last one. And we're going to try to kind of wrap up where they're at, what they've learned across this journey, and hopefully some great updates from Katie and the guy that she was talking about in the last episode. I really, really wanted dating diaries to work. And through the surveys that I've done, that I did on the podcast last year, both the Patreon and the main pod, I know that most of you, 72% actually, really like the dating diaries as a concept, but didn't feel like the current execution of it was delivering on what you thought it could. And I heard that really loud and clear in the feedback sessions and the focus groups as well, that like in theory, it sounds great, but in execution, it was difficult to kind of connect with the daters for whatever reason. I think part of that is probably frequency, but I'm kind of balancing that with other content on the podcast and not wanting the whole podcast to become dating diaries. So part of me toyed with an extra episode that is dating diaries, but then that adds a lot of pressure to the daters to have something to say every week. And ultimately, I think I want to sunset the current version of dating diaries, regroup, think about what that could look like in the future if I do decide to bring it back. And I've really, really loved talking to the daters that I have. And I really thank Kaylee and Elise and Katie and Tony for their vulnerability and for bringing what they've brought to the pod. And truly, truly have loved talking to them. And I know a lot of you have enjoyed it as well, but I think it just didn't, the segment just didn't work the way that I hoped it would. And so I wanted to say that and, acknowledge the feedback that I've gotten from that and, what I was trying to do with it. I think you know what I was trying to do with it. So I wanted to share that with you all and, acknowledge that I am listening to what you're saying and that I am thinking about the ways that I am evolving the pod and trying to figure out what makes the most sense. And maybe that means bringing back some sort of concept like that in the future. Or, maybe that's just not where we're at right now and that's okay too. But again, I just really want to thank the daters who have participated. I think they've been incredible and so vulnerable. And just I really treasure their openness to this whole process. And I know I can already hear the people thinking and saying, what about a co-host who's single? And I mentioned this before on the pod, but I just want to say it again because I've had a few people message me about this more recently who maybe like didn't hear kind of my thought process about it at the time. I loved having a co-host. There is a lot I miss about having a co-host in terms of that banter and having, that consistency of someone to chat with and to bounce stories off of. And the duo is a very different dynamic than the solo. And I totally get that. Ideally, I know for a lot of you, it would be a co-host who is single and actively dating and somebody who you can get to know and really invest in the way that you invested in me and my dating life and Rourke's and hers and Erica's and hers and have that experience and have that like two friends chatting every week kind of experience. And in theory, that's wonderful. And that is obviously where the pod started. But where my head is at now is that if I bring somebody on to be the official co-host because they are single, obviously there'd be other things about them that are great, but that being a main criteria that people are looking for, then that person is under so much pressure, not only to date, but also that as they're dating, if they are looking for a long-term relationship or a relationship at all, that if that happens for them, like that's amazing for them. But what does that then mean for their spot as a co-host on this pod where the listeners wanted a co-host who was actively dating? Like I don't want to put someone in that position of feeling that kind of push-pull pressure. And then also to be in a place where we might be then like cycling through single co-hosts. Like that doesn't, just not a vibe that feels good to me. So I totally hear the people that miss that co-host dynamic. Like I get that. But that's just kind of what I'm thinking about as I think about that potential. And so right now, and for the foreseeable future, I'm going to be continuing on my solo podcasting journey and evolving the pod in that way. So that's an update from the pod from me as we approach our 5 year anniversary, which is in a little under a month as you listen to this. In case you haven't heard in the couple of episodes previous where I've announced this, I'm having a listener appreciation party to celebrate that 5 year anniversary Saturday, February 28th in New York City. It's at the Folly NYC, which is a bar on Houston at the corner of West Broadway. The official public party is from 8 to 10. If you are a patron, you can come at 7, and I will have wristbands for you where you can participate in a bar tab that I will have that is first come, first serve. When it's gone, it's gone. Patrons will get first dibs. I will also add a little bit more to it when the public pod listeners come at 8 o'clock. And I'm just really excited to hang out with you and thank you for your listenership over the years and celebrate this milestone and just hopefully have a really good time. So, with all of that, let's get to Anna. And we are back with Anna. Hi, Anna. Welcome to Finding Mr. Height, the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited to talk to you today about a topic that it feels weird to say I'm excited to talk about conflict, but I'm excited to talk about conflict.
That's right.
And I know it's one of your favorite topics.
It's my favorite topic. I believe that without having conflicts, we can't actually have healthy relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think a lot of people are afraid not only of conflict, but about talking about conflict. Do you find that to be true?
Definitely, and so that's why that's my work. I'm doing this every day, figuring out how to talk about conflict in a way that it's fun, engaging, relaxing, soft, so that we learn the skills, so that when we have those high stakes conflicts, we know what to do.
Yeah. So, on that note, before we dive into all of that, how did you come to be in this space? What's your background with conflict?
I think I've been in the middle of conflicts all my life. I am Ukrainian. I
Mm.
moved to China when I was 17 years old,
Oh, wow.
and I built several global businesses out of China. And we worked between China and the United States, built businesses between these two countries. And having global teams, so I had the team in France, in the United States, and in China for many years. Having a global team with different cultures, different languages, we had conflicts.
Mm.
I had a business partner, a Chinese business partner for many years, and it always seemed like if we can figure out our conflict between me and him, we can figure everything else out. So I've
Yeah.
practiced. I've always practiced since I was 17 years old. And my business between China and the United States is quite tough right now because there is a trade war, and the relationship getting worse between the two
Right.
countries. And so I feel like my life every day is full of conflicts. I also have a husband who is French, and I live in France, and this is my third immigration. So I went from Ukraine
Wow.
to China to the United States and now to France. So being an immigrant 3 times put me in the middle of plenty of conflicts.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So a lot of people hear the word conflict and they think something has gone wrong. But I know that that's not how you define that to be the case. So how do you define conflict, especially in dating?
It's an uncomfortable conversation.
Mm.
And the way we know that it's uncomfortable, we know that if we ask that question, it makes us want to cry.
Oh.
Or we know that if we ask that question, we might lose the person.
Mm.
We might never see them again. So it's really scary to say that. And I get that. The good news is that once we learn how to say it, once we have all the skills of managing those conflicts, on the other side of the conflict is actually a very deep, wonderful relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I think pushing through that risk can lead to even deeper connection than if you didn't do that, right?
Exactly. So it's the vulnerability of going through something hard together that gets us closer. We also develop trust by doing something hard together. And if we're doing this it's right, we share authentic truth with each other,
Yeah,
which develops even more trust and connection and intimacy.
absolutely. But why do you think it is that so many people, especially women, I think, experience conflict as kind of a threat instead of that tool for connection, like you're saying?
Because we were taught like that.
Mm.
We've been all taught to avoid conflict, to be nice to each other, especially women. Be
Yep.
nice to other people, right? That's how we are socialized.
Smooth
We
things
actually
over.
Exactly. Yes. Keep it all peaceful. Do not get in trouble, right? Also, for women, it's for generations of women, it has been dangerous to get in conflict,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
right? And so let's remember that as well, right? So it's been dangerous. So we've learned to keep it quiet, to not get in trouble, to not lead to aggression, right? And we've been told as women, keep it nice.
Yeah.
And so we just don't know how to do it. We don't know how to bring up difficult topics. We don't know how to set boundaries, and how to request what we really want.
Yeah. I see that come up a lot in dating culture, especially because I think there's this idea that connections are scarce. And
Mm.
it, in my experience, makes us extra afraid to take that quote unquote risk of conflict because what if this person leaves and there's no one else?
Oh, it's such a good point. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. The scarcity, this idea of scarcity is actually harmful not only in dating, but everywhere. I see it
Yeah.
in businesses. I work with many corporations on their high stake conflicts, and it's the same problem. When people avoid conflict is because they think there's scarcity of resources, they think there's scarcity of power, they think that they need to compete
Mm.
to stay in the game. And so, and going back to dating, it's interesting, when we avoid, we think that this is our only chance and we avoid conflict. The danger of that is we do not bring up something really important now on our first few dates. We have to deal with the consequences of that for the rest of our lives if we stay with this person, right?
Yeah.
So, isn't it better to figure it out that if this person doesn't know how to fight kindly, how to disagree, isn't it better to find that out on the first date?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think my next question for you was going to be what do you think happens when women suppress that need early on and, try to keep things easy as we're saying? I think that's one outcome and, also leading probably to more dissatisfaction.
Right. I think that's what I see with women that I'm working with is that they don't know what they actually want because they've never really practiced making requests.
Ah,
And the mechanism is like this. I identify a desire or a need or a want, and then I find the right words to request it from my partner, from the other person, and then I get the dopamine, I get the pleasure from getting what I want, and then I thank them and I reward them for giving me what I want, right?
yeah.
That's a great dance in the relationships. But because we were not taught to actually even pay attention to what we desire, and we specifically were not taught how to request nicely for what we want, we do not get to participate in this whole cycle. And so when I work with women, we actually focus for a long time on what is it that you actually want? What is actually going to please you? And that's actually my mantra every day, every moment. I ask myself, what's pleasing me now? What's pleasing me
Mm.
now? And you can be assured, I'm only eating what's pleasing me. I'm only talking to who's pleasing me. So for me right now, today, talking to you, you know that it's pleasing me
Yeah, I hope
to talk
so.
to you. And so you see, so you can trust me that I wouldn't be here unless it was pleasing me.
Mm.
And so, but that's practice, and I also had to learn that. I also was not born with that, and I had amazing mentors and teachers. Actually, this phrase, "What's pleasing me now," I learned from Midori, who is a sex educator from San Francisco. That's what she teaches women to focus on this one phrase: "What's pleasing you now, and now, and now."
It also strikes me as very a practice of staying present too in what's
Mm.
pleasing me now. And I think a lot of times I know I will get caught up in, well, what could happen and what's going to be next and what is the next thing down the line and I lose sight of the right now.
That's totally true. You're right, and that's the practice of mindfulness, right?
Mm.
And my personal preference, so I'm a dancer, I'm a tango dancer, so there
Oh,
is
cool.
a lot of presence practice in tango.
Yeah.
When we are in a dance with somebody else, the dance is fully improvised, and so the moment one of the partners is not fully present there, the moment I think of something else, or I look around, I think about how I look,
Mm.
or I think about what's going to happen next, that moment we stop dancing. Everything breaks in that moment because I'm not fully present. And so I love this practice of dance because then I bring the same skill to the rest of my life. And
Yeah.
so I try to be as present in conversations also I could be talking, and at the same time I'm noticing two things. I'm noticing how my body is feeling, what are the sensations in my body, and then I'm looking at my partner, and I'm looking at the nonverbals. I'm looking at how they're sitting or standing, right? How are they breathing? What's going on with them? Are we both
Yeah.
present?
That actually ties in really well to a conversation that I had last week with another guest about relatability on dates and finding that emotional connection with somebody that
Mm.
often is not just related to what they're saying, but how they're saying it.
Exactly. And so you talked about nonverbals, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
noticing the emotion, the tone of voice, noticing more, getting more information. I think that women are usually much better at it because again, we are socialized to pay attention,
Yeah.
right?
And I think we have to kind of be careful to that end because we're socialized to pay attention and then change our behavior based on what's going to please the other person.
Exactly. And that's a dangerous trap. And I think
Yeah.
that's going back to conflicts, right? There is also a conflict with yourself that needs to be looked at.
Oh my
So
God. Yeah.
do I pay attention to what I really want, how I want to be treated now, behaving now, or am I trying to fit in into this conversation with this person on a date, right? And just remembering that it could be for the rest of your life, or it could be for a long time that you will have this relationship. So better for me, it's always better to be upfront
Mm.
instead of trying to fit in, to be upfront with everything, thinking long term, right? Then okay, if you fit in now, but then you have to un unlock all of that. I had this once. I had this lesson that my friend taught me. He made me chocolate chip cookies,
Uh-huh.
and I don't really like sweets. And so he served me. He said, "Oh, Anna, I made these cookies just for you." And so I was really touched that he cooked. He baked for a long time. Oh,
Yeah.
nice, nice. And so I tried the cookie, and I was like, "Oh, damn, this is so sweet." I thought to myself, "It's so sweet, and I don't really like sweet cookies." But I didn't say anything because the guy cooked for me
Oh no. Is he
cookies.
going to make you
Right?
more cookies now?
He looked at me and he said, "Anna, if you don't tell me the truth about the cookie now, I'm going to make this cookie for you for
Yep.
the rest of your life. You're going to be eating this cookie for the rest of your life." And I was like,
No,
"Ah, it's so
no.
sweet. It's so sweet. I'm so sorry." And this cookie stayed with me. The taste of the too sweet a cookie in my
Yeah.
mouth, thinking, "Oh my God, this is the rest of my life." And so now I'm almost obsessive about being upfront, also in my business negotiations and in, and in any interactions with people. It's like, this is who I am. This is how I'm going to be. I'm a very good offer otherwise. And I come with this. These are my triggers. It's like giving a blueprint to yourself.
Yeah. So you talk about conflict as a practice, and I love thinking about it that way because one of my favorite phrases is progress, not perfection. And I try to remind myself of that. It's very difficult. I'm curious for you, what's the difference between connective conflict, where we're building that trust, and more destructive conflict, where it's like, this is how it is?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that number one priority is kindness.
Mm,
It's just no harsh words should be exchanged. The world is so harsh already. Bringing it up to our partner, to our possible date, um, it's just why would we ever do that?
yeah.
And of course, it goes back to mindfulness and managing our emotions, and conflicts are upsetting. We can get flooded. All that is understandable. So, number one rule: I never have difficult conversations when I'm angry.
Such a good advice.
Right? It's just like that. And so if I cannot find the right words, if I can't be purposeful with each word, if I can slow down, that I'm breathing slowly, and I again go back to I feel my body,
Mm,
my chest, like I want to feel my chest, I want to know where my feet are. If I cannot, if I am dissociated from my body, I say, can we take a pause? I need to go for a walk. I need to go into another room, or even what works better for me personally, I ask for a hug.
I love that.
And it's so hard to ask for a hug of someone with whom I'm angry,
Sure. Yeah.
right? It's so, and of course, we're only talking about safe situations, right? We're
Yes.
not talking
Yes.
about the time when we need to protect ourselves and we need to run
Yeah.
or
Very good
stand up for
caveat.
ourselves, right? Like this is, I'm all about standing up for ourselves and keeping ourselves and each other safe, right? But if we're in a situation where it's all safe and something went wrong, and I need to absolutely bring it up because we need to bring up things that make us uncomfortable. Do not do it when you're angry. Do it with kindness.
Mm.
And there are all kinds of tricks to get to kindness. Another one I have for myself that works for me is that I imagine the other person as how they were when they were 5.
Oh, because
Right?
my whole body just went, oh.
Exactly. And you do that. Thank you. That was such a good reaction, right? And so, oh, they're in pain. Oh, they're scared now. Or their pride was hurt.
Mm.
What I did just now, whatever happened, hurt their pride. And like proud, somebody whose pride was just hurt, it's not the right time to go after that conversation. The right time now is to hug and to
Yeah.
soothe each other and to co-regulate and to get back to full safety and then get back to our adult cognitive mind, right? Rational mind, and then have a calm, loving, rational conversation, as rational as
Yeah.
we can do.
How did you figure out that the hug method worked really well for you versus maybe taking space or asking for a pause? Like, how do you advise somebody to figure out how to handle if they can't do it right now?
It's great. So I figured out for myself that going out of the room is not the right method for me
Mm.
because I'm a very anxious person and my brain will start making up more and more stories when I'm alone.
Yeah, I hear that.
Right? Okay, when I'm in my body, when I'm flooded with, not with oxytocin from the hug,
Yeah.
my mind stops making up stories. I'm such a body person. I'm such a pleasure person. I feel pleasure from the hug, or even if it's not the appropriate to ask somebody for a hug, even holding hands,
Yeah.
any kind of human contact. Or if this is not appropriate, I just ask to just be quiet and look each other in the eyes. The
That
eye
can be
gazing,
intense.
it can be intense, but if I'm looking at somebody and thinking they're 5,
Yeah.
they feel it. Like you have an amazing you react so fast. So if you're with that face, you're looking at them and you have so much love
Mm.
in your face, they know, they feel it, they also relax. And so their relaxation co-regulates me. And I am not in my story making mind. I'm back to what's real, what's about the relationship. So that's my method for me because I feel my body so strongly,
Yeah.
right? However, I totally understand there are people who might get even more flooded if they stay in the presence of somebody who just irritated them or triggered them.
Yeah.
And for them, it could be safer to go or to get distracted or to listen to music. They could stay together but listen to music, watch a movie together, right? Just take their mind off what just happened so that the anger and the flooding can go away.
How would you advise if two people are in a relationship and they have opposite needs in that sense, where one of them really like wants to do that oxytocin bonding, like you said, and the other one is like, I'm gonna get flooded.
Yeah, and as you know, most of the time it's like that.
Yes.
That
That's why I asked the question.
it would be so perfect if we were just found the copies of ourselves. It would be so much easier, but it's
Yeah.
not, right? Because
Yeah.
we choose people who are our best teachers. So it's
Hmm.
going to be the hardest with the partner we selected,
Yeah.
right? Because we need to learn this. And so for example, with me and my husband, we are like that. We are totally opposite in the way we regulate. He wants to be alone in a dark room thinking about things
Oh my God, that would be a nightmare
intensely,
for me.
right? And he actually goes and he calms down and he's very rational. He's an engineer, so it's very easy
Mm.
for him to go back to the rational mind. What happened? Like an investigative mind.
Yeah.
What actually happened? What did we say? Where did we go wrong? How do we fix it? That's my husband. Okay, me, I cannot. For me to get to that rational mind takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so I need all the oxytocin possible that I can get. He comes from a French culture where there's very little hugging involved.
Ah.
It's connection through conversation,
Yeah.
through eating together, having experiences together. Connection doesn't happen with the body.
But not as physical.
And I'm just like, I'm a very physical person, so I need my love language is physical touch. If you're not touching me, I think you hate me. And so the way we are fighting, we've been together for 15 years now. So we've talked about it at the first date.
Mm.
So I was very upfront. This is what I need. And he was very upfront too. He was like, oh,
Uh-oh.
problem. I don't know how to provide that. I don't know how to hug. I'm very uncomfortable about this whole idea of hugging. And we were both committed and interested in the relationship. So we both
Mhm.
said, okay, I now know that you are different from me. I know that you're not wrong. You're not broken. And as such, I'm not broken. We're just different. So I think
Yeah.
that that's the number one step is when we notice a huge difference between us and our partner or potential date, they are not broken us. They're just a different version of humanity that's as beautiful as us.
Mm.
You know, like when we talk about attachment styles and people say, oh, he's an avoidant.
You're
Like, and it's
both
like,
is insecure attachment.
right, exactly. And it's like it's okay. So it's not his fault, and that's what that those are the cards that were dealt to
Yeah.
him. Now, if you know this upfront, how do you then communicate? And so we communicate, and my husband is learning so hard to hug, and he will still be like not really hugging, and I will put his hands around me
Yeah.
after 15 years. And then he's like breathing, like, when is it going to be over? And I say, just 1 more minute. It's okay. Oxytocin is coming. I promise. And then I know that he needs verbal processing.
Uh-huh.
Right. So I'm also in a hurry to like to fix to okay, I'm in more or less good place now. He needs to talk this through.
Mm.
He cannot wait until tomorrow. He needs because he's a intellectual processor.
Right.
And so it's give how do we give to both of us, because there is actually no scarcity in this kind loving ways.
So, as listeners are thinking about this, and let's say that they're in the dating phases, right? They're going on first dates, they're in this early dating. What do you think are some common early dating conflicts that actually kind of matter that we can be looking at to sort of gauge what that might look like in the future?
Okay, since I'm a conflict lover, I think every conflict matters.
Mm.
I think anytime there is a moment of oh,
Yeah.
I would dig into that nicely, kindly from the first date. Remembering that if done correctly, if done lovingly, with repair afterwards, these are the moments when you are building intimacy and trust.
Totally.
Pretending that it's all good doesn't build trust. Means attachment is not being developed right now in this first date. Pretending in the first date is actually completely counterproductive, because if you are into someone, you want to start developing attachment. If you want attachment based relationship, right?
Yeah.
From the very beginning, which means trust, which means being vulnerable and authentic, because the only way we trust other people is when we see them how they are in reality, that they're not pretending, right? So anything, the first date, how and you know, I'm when I look at the younger generation, at women who are now 18, 20-year olds, I already see that they are already much better than I am,
Oh
than
my
my
God.
generation. i'm
Yeah.
i'm going to turn 50 in a few days, and I look at them and I'm so thrilled that there is much faster feedback from them. So they know that they need to bring things up, or I don't like how you just did that, or let's talk about how we're going to who's going to pay.
Yeah.
And every time we bring up those hard conversations, I think the process is, this is why it's important to me. And it's really, when you disclose why it's important to you, it's really important to go super deep. So
Mhm.
not the surface, not the culture tells me to discuss it. Is, I don't know. For me, it's very important to pay half of the check, because when I was growing up, we were really poor, and we were taught that this is how it's important to contribute to society, or my value is connected to how what I learn, what I earn.
Yeah.
So mm, I would like to just show to you that this is who I am, and that's why it's important to me, and and to say it up front and not wait until the conflict blows up and people are
Right.
angry.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you made that's one great example. Do you have another example of, like, something that could come up in early dating that maybe, a client of yours has had, and how to kind of talk through that in that kind way that you're talking about?
What kind of relationship are you looking for? Right? Like, this is such a good conversation to have right away.
Mm,
What's it that you're looking for? What are you about? What is it that moved you to go on a date? That's a conflict. I mean, it's a difficult conversation
yeah.
right away, right? Because to dig deeper, to kind of keep double clicking. So the other person provides you information and you keep double clicking. Or let me ask you more about it. Can bring things up. Can bring up stories, uncomfortable stories, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think that double clicking idea is really great. It's something we talked about last week too. As you're doing that, to your point, it's an uncomfortable conversation, potentially, right? And so there's discomfort maybe on both ends. How do you discern between this is just uncomfortable because we're not used to it and something that is more a red flag for you, something that you should be like, ooh, maybe this isn't going to work for me?
Look, I think it's great, very good to understand. Like, is this my boundary
Right.
that's been crossed, right? Versus I'm uncomfortable because it reminds me of something that happened to me in the past, and I'm actually experiencing this discomfort because of what happened in the past, and it has nothing to do with this particular person,
Yeah.
right? I think that it's important to know our own boundaries upfront and vocalize them to ourselves and to our friends, right? So somebody, for example, I work with women who cannot handle male anger
Mm,
because of their past history. They just cannot. So it's something that we talk about and something that they're very upfront with their dates. Just this is what happened to me. It doesn't have to be in detail, but something happened to me in the past. So now I have this major trigger. So
yeah.
when you talk, and if you are going to show anger, this is what's going to happen to me.
Right.
So being super clear about our boundaries. And if we see that showing up, I always like to tell people up front so that they don't walk into it.
And if
And
they
if it
do,
happens,
that's information, right?
yeah, it's inspiration. And again, it's not their fault. I think that that's the thing, that there's so much conversation now about red flags. And I think that we are overdoing it. I
Oh
think
God, I
that,
agree.
right? So, just, we are meeting another human being who has a history, who hasn't had, nobody had an easy life,
Yeah.
right? So something happened to them. So staying curious, even if you see something that you consider a red flag, as long as you are safe, you're in a safe situation, as long as you know that you can get up and leave safely. Uh, I stay for a long time. I mean, I stay a long time because I like actually to discover more. I
Yeah.
know that if I push through the discomfort, I will learn something about them and about myself every time.
Yeah, and I think I totally agree with you that we've overdone the red flag language. I think when I think about it, I define it as something that's not going to work for me.
Mm.
It's like a red flag for myself, not about the person, like a judgment on them as a person. Sometimes,
That's fair.
usually,
Right.
sometimes it's different.
Right. But I don't know if you have the same experience. So I work with women who are in their 40s and 50s, very successful women who cannot find a partner.
Hmm.
And when they come to me, and they come with a long list of red flags. The longer they live, the more experience they have,
Of course,
the
yeah.
longer that list. And to me, the first question is always, what do you think would be the red flag list about you?
Very good question.
We all have them. We
Of
all
course.
are. We're annoying, and we can be extremely annoying and difficult and high maintenance. And unkind and judgmental, opinionated, right? All of
Oh,
those
yeah.
things could be somebody's red flag. Wouldn't you want somebody to give you a second chance? Wouldn't you want to be loved through all this, and to understand, and to be loved with an understanding that when I am being annoying, it's because I'm feeling scared
Mm.
or uncomfortable, unsafe, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't be annoying. I would be all hugging everyone,
Yeah.
right? So it's also that it's staying curious and kind and understanding. And I mean, I love psychology, so I guess I am biased here that when somebody shows up and shows any signs of a very strange behavior, I love it. I want to understand where this is coming from
Yeah.
and how they've adapted and how they've lived their lives with all that, right? And again, going back to that, okay, if they were 5, would I forgive them all that? And would I be more understanding?
Yeah. It's a really great framework to think about. And I think also makes it so important, like you said, to be super clear about what you really need. Because you're right, everybody's gonna have their red flags, everybody's gonna have their shit. But it's like my dad used to say, whose shit can you deal with?
Yeah, that's okay.
Because everyone has it. It doesn't mean you have to
Right,
deal with everyone's shit.
right, right, exactly. Right. And to me, right now in my life, I always think that I want kindness over anything else.
Mm.
I think that the it's just why going out of the house and interacting with people if I'm not going to be surrounded by kindness.
It's beautiful.
Everything else can be discussed.
Mhm.
For example, there are some of my clients who are very intellectually developed and very successful financially, and one of their red flags is going to be usually okay. One of the parameters that they're looking for is somebody who has to be as um, affluent
Mm.
and as smart. Right? That's like, okay, of course they need to match me. They need to be my equal there. And for me, it's always, I'm all for equality. I also think that it's very important that we're equal with our partners, that there is give and take, that
Yeah.
it's that we receive as much as we give out, and that we have good friends there who will tell us the truth about ourselves, who are a great mirror for us, right?
Mm.
So I think it's very important that there is equality. But does it have to be inequality in all parameters,
I was
right?
about to say there you said give and take. There's give, there's take,
Exactly.
not everything is exactly 50-50 all the time.
Right. And so I've had some successes with clients who were this, Harvard graduated, very successful CEOs, women who found this incredibly kind man who do just they're at their service and they travel together and they explore and they're
Yeah.
climbing mountains together, and they will not maybe will be having the intellectual conversations with them that they could have with other people, but then it takes a village, like, right? Like say it takes a village to raise a child. I think it takes a village to raise an adult,
Just be a human.
right? Exactly. And so, okay, if you cannot have that level of intellectual conversation with your romantic partner, but then surround yourself with incredibly smart friends and have that part of your life expressed there and not necessarily with this one partner who has to provide everything to you.
Yeah, I don't think any one person can provide everything to you. I mean, even if we think about our friends, like there are different friends that I like to do different things with and have different types of conversations with.
Absolutely. But do you see that also in your practice that people are asking for everything, one perfect package?
Yeah, I think society tells us that that's going to happen,
Mm.
that, the media and rom-coms and whatever, books and stuff tell us that there's going to be one person that first of all completes us, which I don't like that language, but that there's going to be one person that is the everything in our life, and I just don't think that's realistic.
Right. And we are not that person for somebody else.
Yeah, totally, totally.
I mean, there are so many things I don't like to do that I don't want to do because I don't like that. My husband is a kite surfer. I am just for me it's too much stimulation, too much
Yeah.
wind and water and wetness and cold.
Yeah, wind and water, pretty much the two core elements of kite surfing. I agree with you.
Right? and it's fast. It's
Oh,
also fast. So there is lots of adrenaline, and I'm like, because of my anxiety, I'm not adrenaline and me. Like I will do everything possible to not have anything that adrenaline inducing, and so I will go and run in the morning and then sit with a book on the beach,
that sounds lovely.
right? But I'm not. So I'm not the perfect package for him, because for him it would be perfect that his wife would be kite surfing with him,
Mm,
right? So I think that staying humble, that we are not the perfect package, and we still love ourselves, hopefully, right? And
yeah,
we are a great offer, even though we cannot meet all the requirements.
absolutely. So thinking about these two very different people coming into a relationship, like, you and your husband, or people that are in, more longer term relationships, you're going to have hard conversations, conflicts coming up. What do you think is a really simple way to stay regulated before that hard conversation? Like, you said if you're thinking about asking a question and there's emotion coming up for you, like, what's the plan?
My plan is always to say what I feel, to disclose that I'm feeling that.
Oh, yeah.
To be very, I even do it on the stage. I'm a public speaker. I will go on a stage and I will say, today I'm feeling this. And coaches of public speakers, they always say, do never tell people on the stage that you're a bit nervous.
Oh,
And
that
I'm
sounds
like,
so human, though.
I talk about conflict and intimacy. I'm going to be intimate
Yeah.
on the stage saying, like, this is who I am. I feel this way. And so if it's a hard conversation to have and I'm feeling like I'm about to cry because I'm so scared to bring it up, or I'm afraid that, okay, I'm going to say that and he's going to leave forever,
Mhm.
those conversations, best started with, I am so scared to say this to you. I
Yeah.
am petrified. I'm all shaking. I haven't slept all night. I don't. I'll just say it. Is this a good time? And then to say, I will prepare the person.
Mm.
This is going to be big. I'm scared,
Yeah.
and I need this from you.
Mm.
So I will. If I know that the person in front of me is not a great listener, it's somebody who likes to fix,
Yeah.
who likes to act right away, I will actually say, do you need a piece of paper to write down your thoughts? I want to know
Interesting.
how you want to fix it, but not right away. I appreciate that you're all action oriented. I think it's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And what I need is to say to you what I want to say. It's very hard for me. I will probably be crying. Uh, Please do not defend yourself. I am not criticizing you. I am not here to fight. It's you and me together against a problem.
This thing. Yeah.
It's you and me and our relationship, and we're sitting together. That's another thing I will do. I never do this in a restaurant, sitting one against each other.
Yeah.
So conflicts need to be talked about, sitting next to each other. So there is this feeling of we are in this together
Mm.
against the problem, not I'm against you right now. So that's really when I started doing that, sitting. So I will actually sit next to whoever I want to talk to in a restaurant and say, okay, this is a hard conversation. I need to be close to you.
Yeah.
And in front of us is this issue. So knowing that I'm going to disclose to the person how I feel actually means that I don't need to prepare much beforehand. I just need to scan my body and know how I feel. Because anyway, disclosing already regulates. Being truthful about how we feel will calm us down because we vocalize what we are feeling. So disclosing and then preparing how it's going to go. So I'm basically facilitating the conversation as I'm doing it. And then it's super important to do a repair afterwards. So I actually learned it from our marriage counselor who said, so he actually recommended us to start with, I love you and we're going to be okay.
I
And I have a conversation to discuss. I have a hard topic to discuss. I love you. We're going to be okay. And then to close. So we had an argument. We had a big conversation. We had
Yeah.
hard things that we had to talk about. And at the end, I love you. We're going to be okay.
That's an incredible start and end, especially because I think I really like the idea of preparing someone that you're going to say something difficult for you, for them, for the relationship, but without them thinking, there's a breakup coming,
Exactly.
because that's where
Exactly.
my mind would immediately go there
You're
without
so
that.
right. That's brilliant. So that's I'm going to write it down. That's actually so important to say up front. I'm not going to break up with you. So it's even better. So yes, I love you. We are going to be okay. This is not a breakup conversation at all. In fact, I'm having a hard conversation with you because I'm committed to our relationship. We are
Yeah.
only once this is over, we are going to be better off than we are now.
I think that's so important. So, so important to also indicate to them from the beginning that you are a team against whatever the thing is that you're going to bring up.
Exactly, exactly. Because there is always a third. There is me, there is you, and then there is a third, which is our relationship that we are
Yeah.
creating together. And so we're tending to it like our garden, right? Or whatever, a tree or dog. We're tending to it together.
Yeah. On the other side, so we've talked a lot about advice for bringing up a hard conversation, when
Mhm.
you're the one expressing a need. But there's also the skill, the practice of being the one receiving that need or receiving that hard conversation. What is your advice there for somebody who might tend toward defensiveness or, fixing it or whatever it is?
Right. So if somebody's bringing up a hard conversation with us,
Mm,
uh, first point is to remember that it's hard for them.
yeah.
And I think we get so right away, we're getting defensive because we think we're being attacked and we're unsafe, that we start tending to ourselves and we forget our partner who is actually right now all probably shaking, sweating, worrying about bringing it up.
Right.
So it's back to kindness and avoiding harsh words, even if we are feeling that we need to fight because we feel so unsafe. So it's again being honest about our feelings. Let's say somebody says to you, when you do this, I hate it, it upsets me. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
And I feel all flooded because I think what I hear, I do not love you, you are unlovable.
Yeah. I hate you, not I hate that thing.
Exactly. Right. And so when I think I'm unlovable, I check out. For
Mm.
me, I'm just like, I'm done here. You don't understand how lovable I am. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
so so in the past for me it would be oh okay, this is off we go. Right now it's oh, what you just said actually made me feel so unsafe. I just made up a story that I am unlovable.
Yeah. So you're
Boom.
saying that back to the other person
Yeah.
in real
Yes,
time.
I'm just real time upfront about my fears and my stories. Actually, verbalizing the stories my brain makes up is an incredibly intimacy generating experience.
Mm.
So I've been doing it for a while now. It's incredible to tell other people what my brain just made up. It's crazy. It's very vulnerable because when I say it, I'm like, oh my god, did I actually just imagine that I'm unlovable and that's it, and this relationship is over because I didn't wash my
S
teacup?
Sometimes for me, when I say it out loud, even just me saying it out loud makes me realize that's real silly.
That's it. That's it. And look at you now. So you are so lovable right now because you said it and then you think you are silly. So first of all, you're not going to be thinking that thought anymore. So that story is deleted,
Yeah.
right? Because it's been processed. And you're so adorable. The person who was upset with you because you didn't wash your cup is now hugging you because you're so adorable because them going after you not washing the cup led you to think that you're unlovable, and we are back to intimacy, and then we can giggle and talk about washing the cup next time,
Yeah.
right? So it's very counterintuitive because we want to get more armor when
Mm.
we feel unsafe, but actually in these conflicts, it's removing the armor that helps us come to resolution and to love and to kindness. It's being honest about Oh, you just said that. It's really, I feel I want to go and climb into my bed because I feel 3 right now.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I like to name my age.
Oh.
So when I regress during conflict, I like to name it. Like I am right now a 13-year-old teenager. I am shouldn't be speaking right now because anything I say is going to be so obnoxious. Please just let me just this needs to be processed. I need I have a playlist for my teenager. And I will go and I will dance it out because my teenager should not be speaking.
God, I don't know if anyone's teenager should be speaking. I don't know many teens that would be good in conflict.
Right? Okay, well, let's we teach you. I have 3 kids.
Oh, I bet
Teaching
you they're
them.
amazing.
Right? But that's right. So regression, like when I regress and I notice, naming it is so yummy.
Mm,
It's so nice. If I say, and people around me now know. So if I say I'm 5, or I'm totally like 5 years old right now, they know I need a hug,
mm,
right? Because think about it. If a 5-year-old is having a tantrum or upset or anything, the first thing we do is we hold them because they need to be held right now and regulated, right?
yeah. This is all just such practical information, I think, to think about and to remember that there are two sides of that happening. Where like you're feeling 5 and maybe the person that you're in conflict with is feeling 15 again, and like both of you are having these sort of separate experiences, but you could maybe bring those experiences together and bond over it.
Exactly. And you know what I think is great is if we are in a long term relationship, or at least we've had several dates
Hmm.
and we've had some communication, there is some trust, there could be some words, anchor words that could be part of your relating, of your communication.
Yeah.
That means that you are hurt. So, for example, it's just, I mean, with me and my husband, it's ouch. It's simple. So, and I've asked him this when we just started dating, I said, okay, if I said anything that hurt you, I didn't mean to hurt you. I don't want to hurt you. Like a priori, I am so into you. I don't want to ever hurt you.
Hmm.
So if I said something that hurt you, it's because I am hurt right now. I'm proud. I am what irritated, bored.
Yeah.
I am if I'm bored, I'll say something that hurts you because I am looking for entertainment. It's just careful. So, and I'm upfront about it. And so he knows to say ouch. And then I'm like, oh, every time I
Okay.
hear ouch, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. What? Okay, okay. And I pedal back, like, okay, I take it back. I didn't mean that. And then I see that sentence that I said was, dismissive or disrespectful.
Mm.
Please accept my apologies. I didn't want to hurt you. And so, and vice versa, I also say ouch. Usually it's because I asked for a hug and he didn't hear.
Yeah.
But you see, so having those code words to indicate that we are regressing or we feel unsafe or we feel hurt so that the other person has a chance to reward, to be more deliberate how they are communicating something hard to us.
Yeah. I like ouch a lot because it's simple and it's a word
Right?
that's already obviously in our vocabulary. So it's not like a weird thing. That is what you say when you get hurt.
Right.
That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense to me.
And we are also trained to pay attention. So if somebody says
Yeah.
ouch, we are always what's going
What
on, right?
happened?
Because what happened, right? But the emotional wound is sometimes hurts more than physical wound, right?
Oh my
So
God.
it
Yes.
works.
I'm gonna bring this up to my boyfriend. I feel like that's a good word to use because we don't we do this, but we don't have a specific word.
Mhm.
Like but I think that's a really great idea. I think I'm gonna try to implement this in my relationship.
Oh, cool. Great.
Yeah. Well, Anna, thank you so much for this conversation. I could truly talk to you all day. There are so many different nuances of this, and I just thank you for bringing this to our listeners. I know they're gonna find it really, really helpful.
Well, thank you so much for having me. For me, it's really my passion. I have a deep belief that if we have better relationships, if we are loved well,
Mm.
we become less aggressive in the world. And as I explained to you, I'm in the middle of several wars. So
Yeah.
I'm really doing this to hopefully have fewer wars in the world. And I know it's a very ambitious goal. And I just want to do whatever I can possibly do. And if we have fewer conflicts, we love them, we do them better, they are shorter, we have better relationships.
Hear, hear. Amen to that. So,
Thank
where can
you.
our listeners find you if they would like to hear more?
So, my book is coming out at the end of March, March 31st. It's called Love in Conflict.
Amazing.
And my website is annalecat.com.
Incredible. Well, thank you again. And to all the listeners, I will talk to you next week.